separates them attached to a person as opposed to attached to a place or a thing?
Well, in 26 years and after 3,200 cases, we find that the majority of the cases are poltergeist cases where the phenomena is being generated, meaning it's created by this poltergeist agent, the young woman, the young man, the child, whatever. And as they move, it moves with them. If they move to a new home, the phenomenon moves with them because it's coming from the young child. I can't stand here. It's making me, this is making, I can't stand the smell. It's making me sick.
Yeah, I don't know.
What is it, Barry?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's like threw up or something.
It didn't smell like this.
What is it?
When I was down here.
Sometimes that happens.
Really? Let's let this stop for an hour. It'll probably stop for
The presence is so strong, especially the few steps going up. Before we
Jeanette, what do you smell?
It's gonna throw up.
Yeah, but it smells like
I
methane. It
it's
smells
not-
like methane.
Yeah.
It made you sick too.
Yeah,
and
because
you
I've
not
smelled
get this-
methane. It's, ugh, I hate the odor.
Yeah.
No, I was down here 5 minutes before you did.
Don't let any
the interview
matches
with
down.
them.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, you did smell that odor, right, when you came in the room?
Yeah, I thought it was from
See, now that's
something
one,
else.
That's one of the
Yeah.
little things that they like to do, you know, for whatever reason.
You mean down here or in the front?
Down
in
here,
general.
when you walked into this room right over here, there was a very strong odor, smell like vomit. When you walk in this room, that's, you know,
Do you
notice
know,
how quickly it went away.
there's
There's no
something,
ventilation in
I
this
smell.
room.
I did smell it when I did come
It's
in.
gone now.
It's gone.
It's gone now.
Well, let's see if there's, I mean, that smells
you know, a
good.
very interesting thing about ghosts also is that sometimes ghosts cannot manifest enough energy to show themselves to you physically. Sometimes you'll see, most frequently you'll see a ghost without the head because he may get enough energy to manifest the body, but he runs out of energy before he manifests the head. So, and if you could just visualize that all of the time, they're trying and trying and trying to break through the barrier to communicate, to
That's
say,
right.
here I am, I'm here, I'm here. Sometimes they're pounding on walls, and no sound is coming because they're trying to communicate. And so this is why often they use odor.
That's right.
And I think that's what has occurred today.
And we all smelled it when we walk in this little room here.
Yes.
Or else when they can't give us the show their head, it's a bad hair day.
No, definitely, definitely there was a presence. We were in San Pedro. I was telling him we smelled very strong iodine odor.
That was horrible.
Just-
And the entity case was worse.
No,
The
he
entity
was there.
case was like rotting, decomposing flesh. So like someone was buried and they just never, you know, mummified her. It was horrible. The San Pedro smelled like someone died. Iodine, horrible odor. And the entity was very similar to that as well.
Exactly. I'm rolling tape in here because sometimes I pick.
Excuse me.
Places that have chased investigators out there for years, places that have actually thrown people off the top floor.
So do you think that
Kinds of
maybe
things.
it's caused
That's
by that?
when you've got something that's a little bit.
It smelled like methane. Why there shouldn't be any methane around here at all? I mean, it's hard to say.
Where'd my guy go?
Upstairs, I think.
Oh,
What's supposed to happen here?
He's just gonna relax.
Yeah, he's just gonna relax.
Eric has grown fond
I
of
reopened the laundry room, we're not going back down there. You're not doing it.
Eric has been close for so many years.
Do you notice anything?
He's grown fond of the ghost because he's not fearful. In other words,
Any
he doesn't.
change in temperature?
And he's not
Put your
buying-
hands at
That's the
this.
spot where you feel the sun chill.
That's what I was asking about earlier.
You feel what?
Change in temperature.
Not that is hereditary.
Which oddly enough turns out to be right below where we were before, where the only time it's ever been seen or seen the most. It's like, right, it seems to
No?
be something about this channel here, or something about this area.
Okay. Let's see what Eddie has to say.
I don't know if we were on tape, I don't know if my voice was going or not, but I tried to give you some editing and
Yeah, that was
when I messed up.
You ever seen a cold
did-
show here?
Yeah, right here.
You feel it right now?
But,
or-
right now. It's here right now.
You're right in this spot?
Right in the spot where I am right now. Come a little bit more. Right here.
You feel it, Barry?
Have you felt it?
Not sure.
All right, I'm going to move where you are. We will exchange places.
All right. Well, there's a crack in the window right here.
No, not that kind of a chill. Hair raising, flesh bumps,
I'm trying to
goosebumps.
keep the mind open here. Only thing I feel is a possible breeze coming through the crack in this window, to be honest with you right now.
The breeze is just the breeze.
It isn't a breeze feeling, is
Yes,
it?
when you feel it, you know you feel it. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the breeze.
There's not
The
a
breeze is-
question.
If you have to ask.
It'll be
it's not-
sudden if and when it happens. It'll
No.
be sudden. You'll notice it.
If you have to
also
look
hits
for it,
you.
it's not there.
Right.
See if I feel it.
Yeah, but it comes from,
It's physical.
it's more physical than it is something that,
Right. It isn't a thing about wind or breezes. It's physical.
What did you feel?
Your hair actually physically stands on end. I pulled my jacket off on one occasion and raised my sleeve on another occasion. And this is what Eric has been experiencing and some of the other people who have been in the area. Eric, the vibrations were very strong here when we first came into the hotel. And then when we went down into the downstairs into the basement area, the vibrations went with us and were very, very strong there.
It may be that it's only a passive to certain individuals.
It may, yes, some people may be sensitive to ghosts and others may not, but why don't you come with me downstairs?
All right.
Goodbye, Bob.
Oh.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Nice to know you.
See if you feel it standing there.
I don't even feel anything around here right now.
Really?
Not the same feeling we felt before when she was here.
Let's call him back.
No, it's not. You can tell.
BARRYCONRAD. And you want to, I'm sorry, what else did you say?
And what do you do?
I'm a professional video cameraman. I have my own company called American Video Features in Steel City, and I'm also a paranormal researcher. And the thing that I try to do is I'm trying to get empirical evidence on videotape to support the reality of ghosts and hauntings. That's kind of my specialty.
And what have been your experiences over the years?
Well, I've been involved in a lot of cases over the years, but I think that the most intriguing case, or at least the one that was the case that we were able to get any really solid data, was the case of San Pedro in 1989, in which we recorded phenomena circulating. You want me to do it again?
Yeah.
If I had to pull that sound. I've investigated a lot of cases over the years, but one of the most phenomenal cases I've ever investigated was a case I researched in 1989 in San Pedro. There was one of the guys who does sound for me, also a still photographer, went into the attic of this house, and
good.
he had his camera, 35mm camera, physically grabbed from his hands. When we found the camera later on in the attic, the camera lens had been separated from the body of the camera. And shortly after, at that point, I had my video camera, video equipment was neutralized, video camera refused to work, and something which felt like a large bony hand proceeded to push this man from behind. And it actually was so hard, it was so hard pressed into his back that it created internal bruising in his back, and he couldn't work for several weeks after that. But there were other things that happened too. 4 weeks later, this man, Jeff Wheatcraft, who was assisting me again on this haunting, was actually physically hung in the attic of the house. The second time he went into the house. Now, when I say hung, I don't mean he was killed. But what happened was we were investigating the attic of the house because there was indeed a lot of information in the house's attic. And there was something totally unexplainable happening downstairs where I was. I actually wasn't in the attic, but there was a very small corpuscular mass of light that looked like a ball of light or a small meteorite. It flew up to me and went through a wall very fast. Shortly after that, we hear three little sounds like clicking sounds, like someone snapping their fingers. And then at that point you hear the scream in the attic. You can hear this on camera because I was rolling tape at the time. Another friend of mine was actually up in the attic, which I've got several photographs of him in the attic by a rope, just a cord that came out of nowhere. It actually physically hung him by the neck and hung him onto a rafter. There was like a nail protruding from a beam up there, and actually it hung him onto the rafter. And he had no idea what happened. There were several moments of missing time because he had no idea how he got to the point he got to, because there was like a blackout period. Suddenly he was there, and suddenly Gary turned to the pictures, he came down out of the attic. Now what makes that case more interesting, what makes that night more interesting is the fact that when he comes down to the attic, we have shots on a videotape, but we have balls of light flying behind him, behind doorways, skimming over heads. These balls of light have been analyzed by a physicist, Dr. James Robin, of Rockwell International. And he's been able to offer no explanation for lights whatsoever. We've picked up dozens of these lights throughout the case. Two reasons. For one reason, it was very frightening just to be in that woman's house, knowing that something could physically attack a man and hang him by the neck. Because there were several attacks that went on, but knowing something that could be that violent. Because there was another night that I actually saw him levitate right in front of me and two other witnesses, and he got thrown up against the wall. Well, this was after this woman had moved. She moved 3 times, and this entity followed her. But as for me, I was followed by the entity as well. Perhaps because I was doing a lot of research, trying to get a lot of data. The entity was probably trying to frighten me away, or I don't know what he was trying to show me, but I know one thing, that this thing appeared in my home in Studio City and actually moved objects. It would move furniture. It would turn on gas burners. And no one had been in the house. You know, there was no one in there. And there were a lot of other things that happened too, but that was frightening, you know, because of the fact that you're very interested in going out and finding out what's happening to the people there, and you expect to go home and, you know, and if you're lucky enough to see something, you don't expect the phenomenon to follow you. But indeed, this thing did follow me. There's no doubt.
What do you think it is that you're dealing with?
Well, that's a hard question. What exactly are we dealing with? There are 2 possibilities. I'm sure there are actually more possibilities. There are 2 distinct possibilities in my mind. One thing, we're either dealing with some form of psychokinetic energy generated perhaps by a living agent, a form of telekinetic powers that we don't yet understand. At least science doesn't understand it yet. Or the more intriguing one to me is the possibility of discarnate intelligence, which would indicate something of thinking intelligence, yet without a body, that is actually acting on the physical environment. I would say that the second theory would be more intriguing to me, and I think that of the 2, I'd say that there is solid evidence to support both of those theories. However, in the San Pedro case, I'd have to go along with that there was a very strong possibility of discarnate intelligence. And indeed, perhaps there are ghosts. Now, what ghosts are, whether or not they're the remnants of someone who has lived before us, you know, whether or not that it's something in the person's mind, we don't know. Actually, I don't think it's something. I don't think all cases can be explained. So it was illuminated. This was not reflected light. These are actual point sources of light. And I'd say that with that kind of evidence, I think it's time for the scientists to take a harder look at what we've got and say, look, you know, there's something here. You know, a lot of scientists, you know, they want something you can put in a laboratory. They can pet it, dissect it, you know, tear it apart, and keep repeating experiments. But this is not that kind of phenomenon. It doesn't always comply with our normal physical laws. There was something out there. I think it's time that we try to get more hard. That's what I'm trying to do.
His uncle was Sam Wanamaker, just died. No.
Are they done shooting on the, are they done shooting there?
Yeah. What do you do here, Mom? I'm a consultant to the studio and a producer. Whatever else.
what you could do? Set a microwave up inside here, so it's facing this window so you can't see, and then inside the microwave you put a backdrop.
She's pretty fun. And when I got to the part about her LSD experiments, I went, Thelma!
Yeah, the good old days back in the late 60s. Yeah.
Better not mention that, Thelma, or people won't believe me.
Well, the way she's now, she's in shape now, physically. She's had a series of cerebral MRI recovery from the night for 14 hours, and then afterwards her memory was, she keeps mixing people up, and that's her memory. It's so sad, so. She's got one, she's got but, she, yeah, then she did a book after that, The Body Electric. She did very well. This is all from photography, it was a mistake.
What about your brown thumb?
Here, for example, here at this studio, everything from Mary Pickford and Doug Fairbanks' Three Musketeers was shot here, all the way to Superman, to Hopalong Cassidy, Gunsmoke was here. I mean, this lot has an incredible history with music videos, Frank Sinatra, Prince, Michael Jackson all shot things here where they shoot all the major car commercials. This has a history of not only commercials but also of feature films. Paramount's here now. They use this lot for many things. They shoot those films, those comedies, with the bullet, what do you call those bullet films, the comedies, the 33 and a half.
Naked Gun.
Naked Guns are shot here, things like this. Anyway, over the years, I've always heard stories, of course, about hauntings, strange phenomena happening at all the studios. And it didn't surprise me much because from what I've learned and what I've heard about is that so many people literally spent their lives at this studio and other studios like this that go way back. This studio was formed in 1915. There have been a lot of people coming through this studio, and people did die and have accidents and shootings and all kinds of things you can imagine. All the studios have had these events. Raleigh studio, which is it today, has its own events, and we're now on stage 5, which is the quote haunted stage of Raleigh. It's been known as being the haunted stage for as long as I've been here, that's 25 years, and everyone has told me who had been here for 30, 40 years before that, there's been phenomena happening on stage 5. One of the major stories, which was told to me by Benny Montagna, who was the lot manager at the time, and he actually did everything on the lot. He had his crews here working, painting, fixing, cleaning, 24 hours a day since, since the 1970s. And one night, when there was really nobody on the lot and they were locking up, they came into stage 5 here, and there was a giant work light. The work light had to weigh at least a ton. It was hung by a giant chain. The only way you could push that light is you'd need a crew of men to pull it and push it and make it swing. Well, they walked in here, the lights were on, and this light was swinging back and forth like they couldn't believe. They thought it was an earthquake at first, and then ran out of the door to look and see what was going on. No earthquake. Everything was still. This light was swinging, swinging, swinging. They were really freaked out. They called up there to see who was up there. Nobody was up on the catwalks, of course. It would take 2 men to swing it, and you'd have to lie down and grab the chain and swing, and you couldn't do a ton. You understand? This really got them really upset, so they ran out again and to get someone else as a witness. By the time they came back, which was about 10-15 minutes later, the lights were closed, the door was shut, and the giant light had stopped swinging. So of course they were freaked out. They had checked. They didn't know about really the history of phenomena at the studio, and I started to dig and research what was going on at this place, and found out that there had been some documented deaths at the studio. One of them was in 1932. It was an electrician who, I don't have his name yet, I still have to do further research, but it was known that he had fallen from the catwalk and was killed on this stage. Now, it could be him, of course, if his spirit is still living here, or it could be others. We don't know how many deaths and other people might have died or had terrible trauma on this stage way before 1932. This stage was built in 1927. And during that building, during that construction of the studio, there had been accidents. I heard about that. It was written up in the trades.
But this was documented, and just recently, just about 2 years ago, they were re-roofing these stages, and next door to this stage, stage 4, 3 and 4, a roofer fell through to his death just recently. So I mean, this tradition, I hate to say it, of deaths at studios goes on. MGM, I know for a fact, has had deaths. There was one particular construction manager that told me he saw and knew of 5 deaths himself. And he figures every year there's at least 5. I mean, and that studio is at 65, 75 years old. There had to be at least 100 people that died at MGM alone. Now, people died at these studios from all kinds of freak accidents, but I can say one thing, is that the reason for this is that many of the studios work 24 hours a day. And during the war, he said, at MGM and other studios, they were building sets and breaking down sets day and night, all the time. And men would be working 24-hour shifts sometimes, and they would end up literally walking off the catwalk and getting killed, or just stepping off of a sawhorse and getting killed. So these things have happened, and it's nothing unusual. These studios are little cities. Every city has its deaths, has its traumas. Every studio has a hospital. And some of them have big hospitals with 3 doctors. So you can imagine that these are dangerous places to be, and that's why insurance is high, and that's why filmmaking is a difficult process. So here we are in stage 5. Again, no phenomena has been heard of in the last few years, but of course they've been working here day and night. And I'll end with that these production people don't have time for ghosts.
Great, thank you.
What was that?
Look at my hair in the glass.
It's open, it's not open to the public, it is?
Van Ness. And I just walk in the Van Ness gate, and nobody ever stops me. And I,
You feel
and I
like-
guess
like
if
you
they
own the
did,
place
I
and
would
they
just
don't
say
bother.
I'm going for dinner.
Right.
And
Oh.
but it's in the, it's cold and
Rain till Friday.
And then, let's see.
I'm always hungry. I live to be hungry.
Famished. Let's eat. Can you believe we're here where they did Superman? That's an honor.
Yeah, that seems kind of neat.
Let's eat.
What?
I said, I think it's an honor to be in the studio that they did Superman.
Don't use that word around me. Don't use it.
Oh, come here.
You know about that? I had a suit Warner Brothers for Superman.
Fairbanks wooed Mary Pickford.
Wait a minute, say that one more time. What is this right here?
This bungalow right here was the dressing room for Doug Fairbanks and Mary Pickford. Well, actually, it was Mary's dressing room, and Doug wooed her and made her his own right here behind this door. He says it's making this one of the oldest buildings.
It sure would be. That's very interesting.
Isn't that lovely? I love
That is
that.
beautiful. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Right here, huh?
Hollywood's biggest girl.
What?
Polanski's book, I think.
Exactly. Raleigh Studios.